Hey y'all, I'm back with Potomac's review. Welcome to another What Else is Going On, aka We Go podcast episode. I'm your girl, your host, Taria. Let's get into the Real Housewives of Potomac, season 10, episode 2, Mint, MINT, to be shady. I have to tell y'all from the top, I'm over the breath of it all. Over it. But let's get into it. So we start back off with a continuation at Ashley's second bloom ball bloom, whatever it is. AJ has stepped in and said, look, what is it going to take for y'all to be cool? Do y'all want to see her paperwork so you can move forward? What is it? In her confessional, Ashley says she finds it hard to believe that months ago, Stacy was with TJ. Now she's trying to get back with her ex. They show a flashback to a week prior. All the ladies were together. Ashley notices Stacy's ring. She says, "What are you engaged?" And Stacy says, "Me and my ex are trying to work it out." And the girls are kind of like making a face. In her confessional, Giselle said, "I don't think Stacy is divorced, but I think Stacy wants us to think she filed for divorce." Are you trying to say that you think it's for a storyline? I'm wondering if that's what Giselle's saying, but like can't say. AJ said, look, why do you, to Ashley, he's saying, why do you care? This is ridiculous. Why do you care? And Tia's kind of trying to chime in like, well, so she can trust her. Ashley says, because it's about the truth. Like we are about the truth here. You can't be a liar. Girl, not to harp on this, but how many times have you said your friend adds sauce, i.e., lying to situations? Your homegirl said in this confessional, she's here for the lies of it all. Like now, all of a sudden, like I guess maybe like maybe Potomac is Bravo. They've recently enacted a morality clause because what? Y'all have never been here for the truth. Anyway, we're back with Kiana and Wendy. And Kiana's telling Wendy, look, I meet you with vulnerability. And I don't know whether to feel like you're socially awkward when I see you in public, but something seems to be missing. So the other ladies are coming over by this time. And Wendy says, all right, look, we have different ways in which we friend. You're saying I didn't see you when I was on stage. I should have waved, when I was at the NAACP. Then for the NAACP, I didn't even know if I was coming because my kids were sick. She said, and I actually told them that, meaning the NAACP. Kay said, I just don't like being gaslit, Wendy. As Wendy is saying in the middle of her talking, where is Stacy? Because again, the other ladies were coming over. So Ashley says, have y'all made progress? Kay says, we have. And they all say, Wendy, apologize. So Wendy said, look, where do we go as a group? Because they're all sitting like around the couch where Kay and Wendy and Stacy's she's there, but kind of like off to the side. Oh yeah, my lips are shiny. So Wendy says, Stacy, you're a part of this group. Where do we go as a group? Tia, welcome. Angel, welcome. Wendy said, I want all of us to flow. So Ashley says, Stacy be lying. I said, oh my God. Then she says, Kay, didn't you tell me that Stacy told you she puts on like a charade? So Kay, like a character. So Kay was like, yeah, in Lake Norman, we were in the room. You were talking to TJ. I said, Stacy, are you ever going to let them see the real you? And you said, absolutely not. Stacy said, okay, every time we have an interaction with each other, you come from a place of negativity and aggression like you want to fight. No, you want to fight. Kay said, if I want to fight, I know how to fight. Cha. Stacy said, I know you can fight. I know. I seen it. we about to have two. We about to have two fighters on the show. One here, one coming back. All right. Anyway, Angel said, she's not a negative person at all. Stacy says she is when she talks to me. Tia says, like to Kay, you don't strike me as that. So here's the thing. I get Angel is saying my friend isn't negative. This is my friend of 20 years. When's the last time you were around her in a social setting outside of here? Like, when did you move back from Denver? Because, and even again, I understand Angel defending her friend. I get that. I probably would do the same. However, if your friend is continuously having negative interactions with this person, then she is going to be negative to them, right? And Tia, you don't even know them. So you're saying Kay seems like she's not negative. Kay may not seem like she'll drag somebody down and beat the Mario coins out of them, but she did, which shout out to Kay for that. Let's not forget about Deborah, Ashley's friend. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So I'm joking, y'all, but you know what I'm saying? So yeah, she may not seem like a negative person, but Stacy's interactions thus far have been that with her, right? So Angel does say, I'm standing up for my friend of 20 years. In her confessional, Stacy said, I don't understand why the ladies in the group have turned on me. I feel like I'm being unjustly beat down. We see Giselle talk, and I said, looky, looky, it's Miss Cookie. So we see Cookie, they're talking. Giselle's like, Karen's birthday's coming up. We want to get together and do something special for her. Giselle asked about Ray. Cookie said, I talk to Ray every day. He golfing and he's chilling. Now we're back with the ladies again. And one of them says, Tia, Giselle tells me that you're royalty. I think Kay said, Tia, Giselle tells me you're royalty. And Tia says, I am. My grandfather was a prince in Nigeria. And Wendy and her give a high five to each other because they're Nigerian. Stacy said, okay, I know you guys don't want to hear it, but I'm Nigerian too. The look on their faces. Child. Stacy in her confessional said, I was excited when my mom told me about my Nigerian heritage. Wendy's Nigerian. Now I find out T is Nigerian. I think I may have found my sisters. I said, Stacy is sitting in this confessional playing in our face because we know exactly what she's doing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got an error on my computer. No, we're still good. Okay. I said, Stacy is in her confessional knowing this is going to be talked about. I thought I found my sisters. Girl, Stacy know exactly what she's doing. She ain't no dummy. She ain't no fool. Child Ashley says, I have a surprise for y'all. Her surprise comes out. Somebody half naked doing what looks like human calligraphy on the floor. They're like, what happened to her clothes? Wendy, Wendy said, I see puss. Child, she was doing a little bit of something, wasn't she? The ladies weren't really feeling it, child, but it was funny. We have our little interstitials for those of y'all that are new here. For some reason, I like to say that word, but those S's be almost kicking my behind. We see Angel with her trainer. She said now that she's back on the East Coast, she sees BBLs all over the place. Kay is having a meeting with her staff. Now we're at Wendy's house and Stacy's coming over. Y'all, I'm going to watch the show and talk about what we see. But then there's also, I want to talk about like, we got to mention some of the things that's come up with the robbery, right? Like we got to, right? We got to. So Wendy's family actually adopted the dog, like she said she was from Stacy's event, Zen Wen the third. I said, well, who is the first? Because is Zen Wen the first? Who is the third? So who is the third? Is her mom the third? No, her mom's not Wendy, right? But anyway, uh, Wendy looked really cute. She's walking around her house with them platforms on, but she was cute. So in her confessional, Stacey says, despite what happened at the reunion last year or in New York, she likes Wendy. Wendy is basically the level-headed one of the group. So they go out to Wendy's deck. Y'all know I was thinking about the deck because you would have to get on the deck or have a ladder to go upstairs to Wendy's window in her bedroom because mine is the same way. But okay. Anyway, they go out to the deck and they try to pop the champagne bottle. Neither of them know how to do it. Wendy said, we just gonna have to drink this little water over here. So Wendy asked Stacy how she's been because she hasn't seen her since the second ball. So Stacy said, I've been wanting to talk to you about that. She starts telling Wendy about how her and Ashley went shopping and how it went totally wrong and went south. And she said, that's very revealing. You know, Stacy's saying to Wendy, that's revealing of who Ashley really is. So all of a sudden the wind started blowing stuff back. We see the cameraman again on the infamous day. Stacy says, a lot has happened since then. So Wendy spots the ring and says, you're engaged? Stacy says, I'm back with my ex. Charles, the way Wendy was looking like, girl, what? In her confessional, Wendy said, Stacy, if we gonna be anything, be serious. Then she said, look, I got questions, but we working on our relationship. I'm gonna be quiet though, and I'm gonna go along with what she's saying. So Wendy says, look, you know, I forget the exact word she used, but pretty much I'm all here for marriage. I cheer for marriage. But it seems convenient that now that the girls are on you, basically about TJ, you're getting back together with your ex. So Stacy said, we're not getting married next week. We're trying to work it out. And there's a lot of things that are being said about me that are lies. Giselle saying I had a cannabis line. So of course they flash back to the reunion again. I didn't realize it was Kiana that said Spacey Stacy. That would have been a good name for her cannabis line. So Stacy admits that a line is coming out. She said the talks didn't start until March when he said, so Giselle was right. Stacy said, I didn't have a cannabis line at the time. That was one of the meetings. I mean, we're not going to split hairs. Giselle was right, right? Period. So she said, I had meetings regarding brands and partnerships. Stacey said, getting in the business had nothing to do with you or Eddie. Wendy said, you weren't in the business before you came into the group. I said, well, ooh. Listen, there's nothing new under the sun. Bible says that. I'm sure some prophet in the old days said that. Some prolific philosopher said it. There's nothing new. You can just make it your own, right? However, you can say I was inspired by you guys. You talked about how successful and fruitful it was. And, when I tried some of your product, I really enjoyed it and decided to maybe step out and do that. Because you can't fault nobody, right, for wanting to, oh, that's interesting. Because Wendy and Eddie aren't the only ones. But at the same time, it's like, Stacey, was you thinking about cannabis before you came into the group, like Stacey said? But anyway, so in her confessional, Wendy said a few months before New York, excuse me, y'all, Red Bull's making me burp, i.e. the reunion, they were told that Stacey was going around saying she wanted to join the cannabis industry like Wendy and Eddie. They then show a flashback to 5 days ago where a guy is saying hi to Giselle. Giselle saying hi to a gentleman. And he says, you don't remember me? I'm the guy that Stacy approached. Giselle said, are you the one that said to her, why would I want to partner with you? Who are you? It was him. Wendy said, look, at the end of the day, girl, I wish you nothing but success in whatever you do. Stacy ends up having to go to the bathroom, which they made a big deal of it. And I'm like, why? Wendy act like, did we miss something? Like, why when they want her to go to the bathroom? I said, oh, it triggered Wendy. Bathroom, the window. Moving on. Tia, we're at Tia's house. Giselle stops by. We meet Tia's family. So Tia has 4 kids. She has Sienna, Alexia, and then she has boy-girl twins, Nathaniel and Amaris. I think that is so pretty. One of my daughter's middle name is Amari. And it's spelled Amari, and the little girl's name is spelled Amaris. I thought that was really pretty. And her husband, Rob. Her and Rob have been married for 17 years. He grew up on the south side of Chicago. And we know Tia basically grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. She had the Rolls Royces. She was posh spice, honey. She said they're a good balance for each other. She has on a name necklace, a pretty necklace, and it says, and I hope I'm getting the pronunciation right, Tinuke, Tinuke. She says it's her Yoruba name and it means pampered from her mother's womb. So Giselle kind of laughs like, here we are talking about her being pampered, and she's been pampered since the womb. So she said she grew up with everything handed to her, but she wants her kids to see that she can work and make a living. She's a global real estate advisor. So Giselle's like, well, what does your husband do? She says he's in sales and acquisition for a massive aeronautical company. And then he's also basically the nanny. Like, he took the kids to the mall, and she said in her confessional, I grew up with a driver. I'm not driving anybody. I said, I know that. A husband that like, they're a partnership. It's not always all on the woman. So good, good on her. So then Giselle says, oh, so he's a nerd. I like nerds. We're going to introduce him to Wendy's husband. At first, I was kind of like, that's weird. But then he is the only husband in the group. Greg is dating Kiana. I doubt we'll see him that much. I don't know if Tamo is going to be in any group things. Angel's husband, but Giselle doesn't know Angel. So, yeah. So Tia says, is that the paid husband? Giselle said, no, that's the real husband. We're at Ashley's house. Her sister comes. Ashley's going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Josh is her date. Her sisters get ready to go to college. She don't get along with the sister's baby dad. I mean, Lord, she don't get along with the sister's father. That's the man that's laid up with Ashley's mom, not doing anything. Remember, they showed a flashback. This individual Ashley was talking to her mom. So the sister is going to a college in Maryland. I forget if she said the University of Maryland, somewhere. And she needed to get out of the house. So it looks like she was there to watch the kids. I don't know. Josh is dating. I mean, Josh is going to be Ashley's date. She said they had a little pause because she met him and then she was very honest with him. She went and did Love Hotel. He really liked that one, trying to be on the burner. One night she was drinking, sent a hey boo or what you doing, big head or something like that. He responded, they back together. Oh, he said hey big head and she said hey big head. He responded low key yes. Can I be honest with you? Just there's something about Ashley. I feel like in her mind she purposely texted him big head because she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna say this on the show, and they're gonna show it." And I could be totally not. I could be totally just so far off base, but I feel like it. Anyway, they're on their way to the White House. She said, "I like Josh. He's a good guy, but he's younger. I need a man with a little more life experience." She said, but he wants to make her happy. On the way to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Ashley gives him advice like, look, we've been around each other. We can talk. She wanted to give him advice for his hair, maybe not try using a lot of product. Again, they've been around each other. And they could give advice. And I said, so Josh, call me. I want you to tell Ashley, ask Ashley. You know, her wardrobe is a mixture, I've said before, of Joyce, Leslie, The Deb Shop, Mandy's, and Merry-Go-Round. Tell her your advice for her would be to step into at least the middle 2000s because she's in the late 90s, early 2000s. Okay, moving on. Angel and her husband went on a cute little date. They talk about Angel being back in DC. She's happy, but they miss Colorado. They have a beautiful home that they renovated. They have a lot of land there. They're renting right now until they can find a house. They're not giving up the Colorado home. They're here for the show. I feel like it. I do. I feel like, and once they're done filming, she's gonna be back in Colorado. Is that why she couldn't make Ashley's event the other night where Ashley lied to us, talking about telling the truth? She lied to us, talking about she's catching melodies, and we know they're, again, the melodies chase her, but she's faster than them. So I wonder if they were back in, Angel was out of town. I wonder if she was back in Colorado. Um, they just, their sixth anniversary is coming up. They talk about how she didn't want him back then. He messaged her. She didn't message him. So what? 4 years later, I think they said. Yeah, she answered him back 4 years later. She said to her, being an NFL wife wasn't her draw to him. Of course, there's a lot of perks being a wag, private jet, vacations, all the things. They then go back to talking about their house in Maryland, what they want for, like, what are their non negotiables for the house they want to buy. Angel says she's down to do a renovation, but the husband's like, no, we already did that. He not trying to do that again. So her house in Colorado has been photographed for its beauty. So he says, how do you feel with the other women? You the rookie on the team. Are they hazing you? She said, no, because I don't play that. I said, all right now. So we're at Kiana's condo. Giselle stops by. She says it's beautiful. She said, does Greg stay here? She said yes. So sometimes I guess he stays there. She says she loves the house, Greg's house, because I wonder if Greg moved into the house. Remember they were getting a house built? I wonder if he moved in. She said, but the condo is her sanctuary. So Giselle's like, where are you with Greg? She said, I'm with him. In her confessional, Giselle said, Greg is a man that's stuck in his ways, and there's nothing wrong with that. But where does Kay fit with him being stuck in his ways? And that's that's a very fair question to ask. If he's stuck in his ways, then where's Kay in all of that? Giselle says she thinks that Kay is in a safe space now, but it's actually giving that she could take care of herself and do it very well. The chef comes out and brings food. Giselle said, this looks amazing. And then looks at the chef and says, what's his status? I was cracking up. That was funny. They talk about Angel's upcoming event. They all found out a couple days ago. Kiana tells Giselle, Lord Jesus, Kay tells Giselle about the event that Kay had. And it was Tia, Ashley, Angel, and of course, Kay. And I remember the advertisement for that event that Kay was having. I do believe that was a public event. It was like caviar and something else. I remember debating on going. And then I was like, oh, I'm not going. But anyway, because he bought like tickets and stuff for it. It seemed like it was really cool, but I didn't go. But anyway, so she's downloading them about what happened with Ashley, what happened with Wendy, her conversation with Wendy and all that other stuff. And she said, Angel was like, because the whole NAACP thing, you didn't tell me you were going, and how Wendy said, I didn't go. Because remember, they showed a little bit of it. Wendy said, I didn't go because my kids weren't feeling well, what have you. So I didn't know I was going. I even told them that, meaning NAACP. So Angel says, "Did you ask her how her kids were?" Kay was like, "No." Tia says, "Well, we assume they're fine because she went to LA." Well, you really can't assume that. Expect you can't. They have a father, they have a grandmother. Maybe they were under the weather, but they encouraged her, "You need to go. This is a big opportunity to be there. We got it." So you just can't assume they were fine because Wendy was there. Tia, you should know that. You have kids. Like Ashley, you should know that. You have kids. Even though Ashley didn't say that, but I'm just saying. So Kay was upset and felt like Angel was defending Wendy. So she's telling this to Giselle, and she said, "I had to chin check Angel." In her confessional, Giselle says, "Chin check? That's physical. I thought we didn't do that with friends." Giselle really has never heard of that before. Like, I know chin check could be meaning getting popped in your chin, but it also could mean a verbal chin check. So I wonder if, I guess, maybe Giselle's never heard, like maybe some people really do think it's physical. So Giselle tells Kay, well, she's here for, the event. We're at Angel's event. In her confessional, she says, at the second blue ball, Bloom, child, my notes literally say blue ball because I told you I use speak to text. At the second Bloom ball, she felt like there really wasn't an effort made to get to know the new girls. So she wanted to use this as an opportunity to get to know them so they can step into her world and woosah. Wendy arrives first. Child, they offer Wendy a cold towel. She says, "Oh, thank you," and smells it and says, "That's okay." Maybe she couldn't have it because it was scented. I don't know. I said, "Child, I'm gonna tell Corey he gonna start have to have towel." I remember we went to a resort in Cabo and they had, like, the towels. He gonna have to start doing that at home for me. But anyway, so they give Wendy tea and put lemon balm in it. Wendy said, what is this hocus pocus?" She said, "I ain't gonna lie, I ain't really with the spike tea. I'm gonna be a team player, but it's giving get out." So we find out Tia arrives and they offer her tea, and we find out that it's hibiscus tea with lemon, ginger, mint, and vodka. And they were like, "Oh, vodka." So Angel's like, "Tia, do you drink?" She was like, "Yeah, I drink." Then in the confessional, I couldn't tell if she was joking or not. Like, the first time she drank was when she was pregnant. Like, that was it. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Anyway, so that group goes outside. Wendy's asking, because remember, it's Tia, Wendy, and Angel, and the sound bath practitioner. I think her name is Ashley. I think, was it Ashley? I think. Anyway, Wendy asks if, "Oh, is what we're doing going to ward off like some spirits and stuff?" Because there are some people. And as she's saying that, we see Giselle and Kay arrive together. It was a cute little walk up. So they all go outside, but then they come back in so Angel can do her whole spiel again. Giselle says, "I don't want to drink the hibiscus tea." And Wendy and them was like, "You gonna drink it. You gonna drink it." In her confessional, Giselle says, "Angel is nice, but girl, we just met you. I don't like truth and tranquility. I like lies and foolishness." I was here with Giselle when she said the foolishness. Girl, why we got to be lying about it though, Giselle? Let's just be here for the foolishness. But it was funny. Giselle said, "Angel, oh, so here we go." Giselle stepped right into her role, ain't didn't she? Giselle said, "Angel, I heard from Kay, there's no loud talking in your house. Is that true?" Kay said, "Well, I don't want any negativity." So Giselle's like, "Sometimes you got to go through the negative to get to the positive." Angel said, "I agree with that." And Giselle says, "Speaking of, because I've talked to this one," she points to Kay, and then says, "Where are you and Kay?" Meaning Wendy and Kay. Wendy says, "I think we're good. We're good in the hood." In her confessional, Kay says, "It's passive aggressive of Wendy. They're not really getting to a resolve." Child, in her confessional, Wendy says, "Whatever issue Kiarna has with me is a one-sided issue. I'm at peace and she's in pieces. We are not the same." I said, "Oh, that would have been a bit of a something, Wendy. Oh yes, I'm at peace. She's in pieces." Child, everything this season we're gonna be looking at Wendy, ain't we? And I don't want to, but anyway, that we are not the same though. I said, "Oh baby." Giselle then asks Angel if her and Kay are okay. Kay says we're fine, and Angel says, "It's like, why? What happened?" In her confessional, Angel said, "I'm confused because I'm not sure what she's talking about. In my mind, things are business as usual between me and my girl Kay." Giselle said, "Is it time for the food?" So Angel said, "Feel free. We also have mints over here." And I was wondering if she was saying that because of the types of food they were eating, like the fit, looked like they had salmon, like the different stuff, maybe. So Ashley's arriving. So then Giselle says, is Stacy invited? And Angel says, yes, she is. So Wendy brings up Kay and Angel. She was like, Giselle, what was that you were saying about Kay and Angel? I said, oh, Wendy's stepping up into her role, honey. Angel said, look, if Kay had a problem, she would tell me. So Tia says, Kay, do you have a problem? Giselle said, well, she told me you got chin checked. Angel said, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Ain't nobody chin checking nobody over here. Kay said, there was no chin check. Cut the ish. I said, girl, you said it out your mouth. You said it. Kay said, Giselle, I'm going to throw this food at you in a minute. So Kay says, she said, hold on. She walks up to where Angel is and said, let's be clear. We're friends. Friends don't chin check each other. Giselle's like, but you told me you did. So Tia said in her confessional, I don't even know what they're talking about. What language are they speaking? Child Angel in her confessional said, ain't no chin checking going on. If there's a chin check, I'll be the one checking chins around here. Giselle and Kay are kind of going back and forth. And Giselle's like, Kay, you did say that to me. You told me you chin checked her. So Kay was like, oh, okay, well, if I said it, I'm woman enough to say it. I'm woman enough to say I said that. So she tells Angel, look, Giselle told me that I did say that. I'm really sorry. I thought I was checking the situation. So Giselle picks up the bowl of mints and says, hand these to Stacy when she gets here. Wendy says, did it hit you at Ashley's event? Because it slapped the hell out of me. I said, why didn't none of y'all bring this up last season? Was it not a problem last season? Like, I just don't like this, y'all. I know I keep saying it, but Stacy arrives. She's hugging everybody. And Tia says, wait, I wanted to ask if there's something secret about the bowl of mints. I said, now Tia, even the new person is in on it, Tia and Angel. Angel says it's for everyone to feel fresh, fresh breath. It's annoying me that they're not just saying it to Stacy. I think that's my issue. First of all, I wouldn't have said it on camera. I think that's horrible. But also, if you're going to, you could have said it to her. It's like the laughing at her and her not knowing what's going on. It gives, it truly, and I know people say mean girl high school. It really gives high school. And like you're trying to be exclusive and make her feel a type of way. Like, I want you to know we're talking about you, but we're not going to be direct. I don't like that energy at all. So Ashley finally tells Stacy, we were talking about you earlier, and sometimes your breath can be a little on the hot side. And Stacy said, oh, okay. Well, let me get a mint then. I'm curious to what AJ, Stacy's best friend, has said as he's watching this. Like, what are his thoughts seeing this play out? That's his best friend. He's known her for years. I'm just curious, especially with him having met the women and stuff. Ashley says, it's all in fun. It's not all in fun. You're on TV talking about her breath. It's not. In her confessional, Stacy said, really, a bowl of mints? If today's issue with me is my breath compared to what I've gone through the last 3 times we've met, I'll take the mint. And I said, you know what? Good on Stacy. She handled that. She honestly handled it really, really well. They all go out to the deck to do the sound bath. All the ladies are in their confessional like, can we wrap this up? This is a lot. So they end up doing the sound bath. And then Angel says, I want to do a fire circle. You hold this, you let things out. Kay goes first, and she thanks Angel for being there, reminding her of what a real friendship looks like. So we know, I feel like that was a little bit of a shot at Wendy. Tia thanks Giselle for inviting her to the wonderful, loving group of women. And then she goes, and thank you to the holistic lady. And they were like, did you just call her the holistic lady? So she turns around to the lady and says, you're the holistic lady, right? She's like, it's Ashley. I'm pretty sure, I think she said Ashley. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. Either way. Stacy then says, look, I'm at a place in my life where I want to start fresh. She asked everybody, would they get up and do a hard breath? Of course, they're making jokes about her breath. Giselle's like, did she pop a mint? So they all breathe out the negativity. In her confessional, Stacy's like, it's unbelievable how I'm able to save the day with my goddess breath. I said, that's why I'm giving it to Stacy. Stacy pulls Ashley for a chat on the couch. Of course, the other ladies start coming over. They talk about her divorce. Stacy pulls up the divorce on her phone. Giselle's like, this is BS. I don't believe it. I don't see no stamp. That's not what it looks like. I'm bored with it. Let's move on. I think it's quite interesting that Giselle doesn't want to believe what she's looking at on Stacy's phone. It's not a real document. That's not what mine looks like. But you want us to believe that you saw an official court document where TJ is suing Stacy, and that was on the phone of an actress who happens to be TJ's best friend. So we're not supposed to take. You don't want to look at Stacy's document for real, but we're supposed to take your word for of a document that you say you've seen. And can nobody find the documents? I just did a video earlier. Y'all go check it out. A little bit of Bravo gossip, and TMZ has verified Stacy's divorce from the documents they got, the legal documents. It was sealed. Anyway, so in the meantime, child Kay was in the kitchen tearing the food up. And I think Ashley mentions it was like the first day of Kay's period or something like that. And Kay could care less about being out there. So next up, we see Giselle and Ashley arrive at Tally Ho. They meet up for Karen's birthday. They're talking about how much they miss Karen, how much they think about her, how much they love her. Giselle's like, I wonder if she got the straight backs going on. So Giselle says in her confessional, I felt like some of the girls who love Karen should get together and pour one out for her. She also says she's not really mad that she's not talking to Karen, and that she said, I'm glad that Karen is talking to Cookie, because I don't want to be asked about it. Well, I know I'm going to be asked about it. And I know Cookie's been talking to Ray and her daughter. Karen's being strategic, and I'm not mad. Yeah, because you also know Karen don't really trust you like 100% like that. Like, ain't no way, right? So, because Giselle might run something back, be a little messy. So they bring up Cookie being in the courthouse with Karen. Oh, so wait, Kay arrives and then Cookie arrives. So they're all there. And Giselle says Cookie called Giselle as soon as they took Karen in. And I told y'all that they were in that Cookie. Well, I saw Cookie. She was there with Ray and Karen's cousin. I forget if there was the one that was on the show last season that she met with. And I don't know. I can't remember now if it was somebody else. And they said, oh, because I told y'all after court was over, they let Karen stay in there for a minute. I had left. And then when they said, we're taking her today, I went up and asked the sheriff about, no, I'm sorry, an attorney that happened to be watching the proceedings was talking to somebody else and said they're taking her today. And I stopped him and said, excuse me, did you say they're taking her today? And he's like, yeah, they're taking her right now. So that's what made me go back in there. And it was Karen, Karen, her family, and her lawyer. She was talking to them, and there was a couple of us standing in the vestibule, and I heard this yell, this like, oh, and I thought it was Karen, but I think it was Cookie. Cookie says that they asked her how was Karen when they took her, and Cookie says she was strong. I told y'all, Karen was like a soldier for real. You know how she says she soldiered up for her family? You would have never, ever, ever guessed she was getting ready to go into jail. Told y'all, she told Ray, God's got, Ray, I love you, God's got you, So she was very calm, voice wasn't cracking or nothing. So Cookie was 1,000. Karen was very strong. So they ask if she's in any type of program. She's in a program. She's reading a lot of books and exercising a lot, and the ladies love her. Giselle said, I was talking to Cal, and he said maybe when Karen comes out, she might be trying to see Ashley. Then we get a flashback of when Ashley was Ashton and was dancing on Karen. So they asked Cookie if there's any chance Karen could get out early. Cookie said, yeah. And I'm not, and Giselle's like, when, tomorrow? And Cookie's like, I'm not saying. She's like, that's cool. So then Giselle, trying to be messy. Can we call Ray? Remember on Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip when she got Heather to try to call Jen Shaw in jail? Remember that? Shaw. Cookie said, no, I'm going to see if she calls us. And then she said, oh, this is funny. Who's texting me, though? And they're like, who's texting you? And she's like, Chris. And they're like, Chris who? She's like, Chris Samuels. Ashley says, I heard Stacy was trying to get with Chris. And they're all like, what? There was a part of me that wondered if, I'm not going to lie, if they had talked about bringing up Chris Samuels just so Ashley could bring out that information. But Cookie did look genuinely shocked, so I don't know. So, of course, here we go. Ashley and her source. She said at her Bloom Ball, her friend Tatiana came late after everybody had pretty much left. As they were leaving out, walking down the steps to carry her gown, she says, I got to tell you, Stacy reached out to me and asked me to hook her up with Chris Samuel. So Ashley said, she was like, well, did you do it? And her friend said, I introduced them. And Ashley said she was kind of shocked. So Kay says back at the table, because Ashley said all this in her confessional. So at the table, Kay said, I thought she was back with her husband. So Ashley said, maybe this was before they got back together, but I heard she was really making a play for Chris. Remember Katie posted a picture of her and Chris? Was Katie making a little play? Chris too, Katie Rose. In her confessional, Giselle says, I don't know who this woman is. There was a whole man you paid to be your boyfriend. There's a whole divorce that we can't find. There's a whole former Potomac husband that you're trying to have sex with. I said, now nobody said that. There you go. She said, somebody call Monique. Get Monique in the chat. I said, no. Why? She not with Chris. What? Why? But as we know, Monique is coming. Anyway, Cookie says, no, he can't have that funky odor in his house. I said, my God, today. My note says that was horrible. We see a flash forward of 3 weeks later. Monique comes and they're going to get into the Chris and Stacy of it all. Child, that was the episode. What did y'all think about the episode? Did y'all enjoy it? I did have some laughs, not gonna lie. I'm over the whole Stacy's a liar, Stacy's breath stinks, Stacy. I'm over it. So I hope we move along from it. I'm very interested in what Stacy has to say. You know, they played a game on Watch What Happens Live about Stacy's breath. I just thought that was in bad taste. Truly, no pun intended when I said that. Like, I really mean, I just think that was horrible. Like, why? Why would you do that? But anyway, that was the episode, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I love y'all so much. Please make sure to like, if you're watching it, like, comment, subscribe, share it. If there's a hype button on this video, because I don't know which videos have them, and you want to, feel free to hype the video for your girl. Those of you who are watching, if you could please go over to wherever it is you listen to your podcast, type in what else is going on, follow the podcast over there. For those of y'all that are listening, love y'all. If y'all could please come on over to YouTube, type in WeGo, WEIGO, that stands for What Else Is Going On podcast, and also subscribe to the channel there. That way you can catch the visuals as well, and you can support your girl over there. Love y'all so much. Talk to y'all later. See ya.